Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin, I'm a geek. You are watching Kevin the Geek, and welcome to my reactions and my reviews for Series 3 of Death in Paradise. So, all 8 episodes are available to be watched, and you can find the links to all 8 episodes in the video description. And it is something that surprised me, this series. Obviously, please do feel free to watch all of the episodes before checking out this review, or you can just hear the review first and then go and watch episodes, or even just listen to this review if you want to. You know, the choice is entirely up to you. So I'm going to get into spoilers in just a moment, but thank you to everyone who watches my videos, and obviously I put a lot of work into doing these. You know, this is 8 hours of me watching stuff, which I've done over a couple of days. This was a surprising series because, of course, I was not expecting the lead character to be killed off in the opening episode, in the opening minutes of the opening episode. That threw me, because I was getting ready to watch another series of Camille, of Richard, of Fidel, of Dwayne, you know, and of solving all these murders on this wonderful Paradise Island. And so this series has a sense of familiarity, but also new and refreshing. So Richard is obviously the one that we've been used to as the detective, and I liked the sort of fish out of water nature of him as a detective. You know, this guy who's on a Caribbean island, who doesn't want to be there, is so stuck in his ways that he still has cups of teas and wears a full suit to solve murders. And then we get Humphrey, who is the complete opposite. He is engaging with the island life. He has rum cocktails, he has beers, he has a Caribbean stew and accidentally eats, you know, a Scotch bonnet chili, and you know, has a very bad experience from it, having to down loads of milk to try and soothe himself, and probably has a very bad morning on the toilet afterwards. Humphrey as a character I really like, and I see a lot of myself in him. He is a strange character, and I'll kind of get onto the episodes a little bit in a second, but overall he is quirky. He says the right things in the wrong way, a little bit like Richard in a way, but more so with Humphrey. And it's a difficult series for him as well, because he's not just a man who is giving up his life in London and moving to the Caribbean. He's doing so with, you know, not initially, but with the knowledge that he's doing it with his the breakdown of his marriage. And that is a twist as well. That was a big twist at the end of the first episode, because he gets introduced and he's like, I'm married, which already is a departure from what it's like with you know, with Richard. But he's planning on having his wife join him out here in the Caribbean, and then she announced via voicemail that she's leaving him. And so he has to come to terms with life without his wife, life in a completely different world to everything that he's been used to, and he makes a real effort to integrate with the island life. You know, mistakenly at times. You know, he goes to go, oh, I'm going to dress like the locals and do like the locals do and wear wonderful Hawaiian style shirts. And it's like, no, that's not what the actual natives do. It's very much a touristy thing. And I like that about him. I said it, that I really wanted Richard to try to integrate into island life and maybe be a little bit less kind of stuck up. Not stuck up, but, sort of pigeonholed. And Humphrey does that. I don't know whether Richard would have loosened up a little bit. Maybe he would have, maybe he wouldn't if he had not been murdered. But he really does get stuck in. So let's talk about some of the episodes. Obviously, the first episode was the one where Richard is murdered. And I liked that episode. It was an episode where Humphrey had to prove himself. And he did kind of prove himself by solving the murder, but at the same time, he wasn't the one who really solved the murder. Richard solved his own murder, but without knowing that he was going to be murdered. So it was a bit of a strange first case, but very clever, very cleverly worked out. And I like Humphrey. Humphrey likes a lot of riddles, and he talks about the riddles a lot in this. Sorry, I've got a fly bugging around. That's bugging me now. But yeah, because he did the whole thing. What was it? The fox, goose, the bag of beans, which is a variant on a very common riddle that we've all probably heard at some point in our lives. But you've had similar kind of things happening throughout the series, and they often tie back in to link to the murders. The second episode, it was the one on the murder set, which, yeah, that was a big twist, because everything had all been that the actress was the intended victim, and the actual murdered person was an accidental byproduct of that. But she turned out to be the murder. Very cleverly done with that one. And of course, we had the Doctor in that one, Peter Davidson. That was wonderful to see him in that. Then you had the one about the art and the painting, which gave Fidel a really nice kind of focus for an episode. I like the fact that he got a bit of a focus there. Then you had probably my favourite murder, which sounds weird. My favourite murder of this series was the one with the air stewardess. That one I really, really liked. The one which was the first, or was it the second one? No, I think the first episode I kind of managed to work it out, but maybe not quite all the way. But the fifth episode with the guy who had the affair, it was the one with Camille's dad in it. I really liked the focus that Camille got on in that episode. That one I pretty much managed to work out. I think a little bit accidentally, because I kind of voiced an opinion quite early on, but then that just kind of stuck with me. So if I maybe hadn't voiced that, would I have worked it out? Probably not. Episode 6 was the bird watching one. That was alright. Again, I sort of figured it out, but then there was also an accomplice, which I didn't quite manage to get. Then the 7th episode, that was the one where they kind of had to do it, where they were kind of stranded on this island because the storm was outside, so they couldn't leave. The murderer couldn't leave. That was a bit of a different one. And then you had the finale one, which obviously brought the wife back into it, Sally. So she turned up, and obviously her and Humphrey had to have a talk. And and there's the thing about the retirement home. That's literally the one I've literally just finished watching about 10 minutes or so ago. So that's the one that's most fresh in my mind at this present moment in time. That one I really liked, where they went with the sort of loneliness aspect of it. But what I do really have to say is the stuff with Sally, because I wasn't expecting her to kind of come into the series. I really liked that they brought her in there, and what I really liked, now I think about it, it was very subtle initially, but then it really got highlighted. And it was the fact that I'd been saying it for a while. I really wanted Humphrey to be sort of integrated into the island life and, kind of be the opposite of Richard in a way. And it was very subtle, the fact that, when she gets there, she has a wine. and she initially asked for the one that she would ordinarily go for. Catherine didn't have it, so she went for a slightly different one. When Humphrey got the drinks in, he got her a rum punch. And she tried it, didn't like it, and changed it for a gin and slimline tonic, which is what, again, she will always go for. She goes for the familiar. Whereas Humphrey makes it clear to her, it's like, you thought that we were in a rut. And we were in a rut. And we were predictable and boring. And I wanted us to have a fresh start, to try to recapture the fun, the excitement of our marriage, which has kind of gone by the wayside in recent times. And yet the first opportunity she gets at trying a new experience, she goes back to that old familiar. And I like the fact that Humphrey just said, we're done, you were right. And I was trying to save the marriage, you were trying to save yourself. And that, it was a very emotional scene, and I cried in it. I'm a sucker for emotional stuff. Sue me, I don't care. What I'm unsure about is the revelation right at the end of the episode that Humphrey is apparently in love with Camille. I get it and I don't get it. I guess I don't get it because it's a bit of a strange one, but importantly, Camille is really, in a way, the one who has shown him these new experiences. Between her and Catherine, teaching him to, try a local dish. I mean, I guess it wasn't so much a convincing, because he was already quite willing to do that anyway, but he had the fun with her. So, I don't know. And of course, like I kind of said at the end of episode 8's reaction, it kind of has been done a little bit before. It was with Richard and Camille. They sort of had they will, they won't, they kind of thing. More coming from Camille's side. Here, I don't know. I think if they're going to go down this route, they have to make it be revealed. I think they have to have this conversation. Whether they go for it and they get together, whether they don't, I don't know. I don't know how I feel at this present moment in time, whether I'd want them to get together. But what I will say is Humphrey as a character, I really like. I like his dynamic with the team. I'd like to see a little bit more be given a little bit more frequently to the other members of the team. We've had odd glimpses here and there, but most of the time it has been always the leading detective, i.e. Richard or Humphrey. So giving a little bit more frequently to the team would be something that I would be keen to see. I think what some people don't like, if they have to try and find a fault with the show, what I get that some people don't like about this show is that, in a way, it is a little bit samey at times. The fact that it is a murder of the week kind of thing. For me, personally, I disagree with that. Because each episode, and especially with it being set on a Caribbean island, it has the opportunity to be very fresh each time, whilst at the same time feeling a little bit familiar. Like you think about the last episode and the murder, it's at a retirement home. Does the story stem from it being on a Caribbean island? No. Could you have done that exact same story in England? Yes, you could have done. But do I care? No. Because I like detective stories and I like puzzles. And this show does a great job of giving you a puzzle, giving you enough information to let you be able to figure it out yourself, but at the same time not making it easy to figure it out. And I think the first episode with Richard's murder, that is the one that was most prevalent. Because all the clues were there. Even the thing about the dissertation, which obviously I paused the video and I kind of looked very intensely. If you were just watching that real time, you didn't pause it, you weren't going to be picking up on that clue. But the information is always there. And when you do manage to figure it out yourself as a viewer, you feel happy. You feel smart about it. If you don't, it doesn't make you feel stupid for not having figured it out. And that's what I like with this show. It is different. It tells stories that you couldn't do, if it was in England, for example. But it does do some familiar stuff, but not make it feel too familiar. That's my personal opinion. If we get to the point, because I don't know how many series are on it actually. How many? What are we on? Death in Paradise. Because I know they'll have a new one coming soon. What are we on? They are, how many series? So far there's been 13 series of this show. 13. And we've done 3 now on the channel. So we've got 10 more to go till we've caught up, and probably even by that point I'll have to do 1 or 2 more potentially. But overall, I love it. I love it as a show. And I am going to continue watching. I don't know if we'll have even more detectives. I don't know if that will change, if Humphrey's going to be the only one. From here on out, I'm not going to look at spoilers, and I hope you guys don't give me spoilers in the comments. But overall, I really do enjoy this show. That's all I've got to say now. So thank you once again for joining me for Series 3 of Death in Paradise. You can go back and check all of the others. I've done similar ones with Line of Duty. That's another show I'm really enjoying. I'll sort of do it on a bit of a rotation. So Line of Duty will come back at some point, which that will be Series 4. So we'll have to do that one. And the other one I do on a bit of this rotation when I do them all in one go is Taskmaster, which I'm going to be doing Series 7 soon, hopefully at the end of August. We'll have to see with that one. Fingers crossed I can do it, but that's like 10 episodes in that, so that will take a bit of time to do that as well. So yeah, that's going to do it for this review and reactions to Series 3 of Death in Paradise. Thank you very much for watching. If you stuck with me to this point, drop your comments on this video. Let me know about any of the videos, any of the episodes that you particularly liked, what your thoughts are on the difference between Richard and Humphrey. Let me know. That'll be wonderful to hear. But that is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me once again. For now, my name is Kevin. I am a geek, and you've been watching Kevin the Geek. Goodbye.